One of my personal faves there to kick off the program today. I keep playing it because I like it so much. It's the Ruslan and Ludmilla Overture by Glinka. And that's a 78 of the Danish State Radio Symphony recording made in the 30s. And it's the fastest rendition I've ever heard of that piece. The poor string players, their fingers be falling off. It is such a play. It's a great piece. So there we go. Music of Glinka. And I'm vk3sl. We're testing here on 160 and on UHF. Also streaming online in two places today. I've got the other streaming service working. So that's a development. But there we go. That's the latest. So, hello there.
Yeah, I just entering your music there. I've been doing, staying up all night doing sort of compiling playlists and stuff.
Oh, yes.
And I really, the ambition is to have nothing that was really super well known. Mm-hmm. Because people come on this, they play 60s hits on those sort of stations.
Yes, that's right.
It's just crap. I mean, they're good music, but not.
But everyone's doing it, aren't they? I mean, everyone else is doing it.
Everyone's doing it, and the piece you played there, as soon as I heard it, I knew what was going to finish like. I've heard it a million times.
Oh, yes.
It might be the great rendition and stuff, but I've been looking at stuff, and I got on to Polish National Radio.
Oh, yeah.
And there's this site of 1 million Naxos discs.
Ah, very good.
And they've had about 10 hits. And there's performances I've never heard of.
Yes.
Artists I've never heard of. Mm-hmm. Composers I've never heard of.
Yep.
And conductors I've never heard of. And some of the stuff is just fantastic.
Yes.
And as you listen to it, this is new. I haven't heard this combination of notes before.
Yeah.
And there's something about that.
Yes, indeed.
And, I'll choose more sort of brighter stuff, but there's some fantastic stuff there.
There is, indeed.
And it's like, the big five get 99% of the audience.
Well, that's the thing. We sort of live in the grey, the grey rinse brigade. They all want the same. Blue rinse brigade. They all want the same, 10 pieces, and there's a vast,
there's a whole sea of music that's below that.
There certainly is, and it's all just as good. It's just for whatever reason it hasn't sort of got primacy. But Naxos is a good place to start because they pride themselves on sort of, I won't say second-tier composers, but works that are not heard as often. And so definitely worth looking at the Naxos archive.
That's one of Naxos's avowed aims, is to bring to the fore, composers you don't hear.
Yes.
Yes. They're cheap to buy, or they used to be. I think they still are. They're very high quality, and the production values are terrific.
Yeah, no, they're a great success
they
story.
They certainly are. And now the millions of them are just on the web, and you can just download them or whatever.
Yes.
And fantastic stuff.
Yeah, it's all there. It's all there to be had.
It is. And then I got on to early music with early instruments. There's some fantastic, like back to 1,000 years.
Yes.
Fantastic stuff. You never hear in the wireless.
Yeah.
It'd be great just playing. And then you get on to the more contemporary stuff, and of course there's artists that are not known, but they've got better songs than what you hear because it's like YouTube. You put something fantastic on, but it'll never be seen.
Yep. And
these people are great. They do some fantastic stuff.
Yes.
And there's all this music, and apart from a few shows and things, but and I think the old 60s stuff you and Frank talk about is great, or 50s, but. Yeah. To have a station that doesn't play anything that is really recognisable, people can turn on and think, gee, that's a nice tune. I wonder what it is. Rather than say, that reminds me of such and such.
Yes.
And that's how it's all worked out. So I really do like just total things that it's a new experience.
Totally.
That your brain cells have to accept a new melody rather than just be melded in with what we've heard 1,000 times.
Well, that's it. I think a lot of people do enjoy familiar things. They have, music does bring people back to times and places in their lives, and there's that aspect to it, of course. But in terms of novelty and experience, I'm all for, something that hasn't been experienced before. And
look at electronic music. That's got a lot of that stuff.
Well, it certainly does.
Well, that's another whole genre which I'll do a lot of. And of course, then that's not even mentioning world music. So God knows, you know.
World music's just another universe. There are so many, but the great thing is there are many archives online and YouTube playlists of a specialist kind. So you'll get someone who will find this weird and wonderful stuff, and they'll compile it already for you. And, and you can just go with their list, you know.
With the flow. I was just putting mixes on.
Yeah, sure.
And let them go for a couple of hours, store them, and then just save them.
Yep.
And then I can work on them later. And the idea is you'd open them up in Adobe or Audacity or something.
Yes.
And then just make an announcement every couple of tracks. So it doesn't sound like a jukebox.
Yes.
And and then just save them as separate tracks.
Yep.
And it can do that, so it'd be good to have just all this stuff coming
I think
up.
that's the way to go, Dave. I think if you can find, see, there's no vehicle for that type of music. No one's doing it because, you know, people are very inherently quite conservative on the airwaves.
No point in reinventing the wheel, is there?
That's it, and there is a multitude of other things. I mean, basically what I do is based around, fundamentally it's based around just on what happens to be in these four walls, and then I sort of value add and go from there. It's a point of departure. But I think really there are some vast collections online. Naxos are a really good place to start. In fact, a lot of the material that I play at the start of my programs is from the Naxos collections. And I should also mention that musicologist who I played the other night, last Friday, he really champions Naxos, and he often describes them and sort of introduces a lot of these, I'll hesitate to say second-tier composers. They're just as good, but they're sort of less known. And if you go through his reviews, you'll find just an extraordinary archive of connections. So, definitely a good idea. And look, the other day I was listening, I typed in ancient Roman music, and there's all this music that goes back to over 1,000 years ago. It's, the musicologists have reassembled it, and it's beguiling. It's fantastic. It's just this wonderful sound world.
It is, and it's got a different, it's got an old worldy sound to it too. And some of this other music isn't, it has millions of hits. It just doesn't get on the radio or popular mediums.
Yeah, that's it. It's just a niche-oriented thing. But I think there's a good reason to playlist that sort of stuff and just give it an airing. And we've got everything now at our fingertips. It's now 1,000 times better than it was even 5 years ago. And
it's jumped up.
It is, and it's just it's a smorgasbord really, and it's just a question of experimenting and just going where your mind takes you and putting things together.
It's also, I looked at my computer files, and I was compiling all that, the 20s hits and stuff.
Yeah.
That's 2015, 16, so long ago.
Yeah, I know.
Like, time, if you don't do something, it just zips away.
Yes.
7 years.
I know.
And I've noticed, like, Jonathan Holmes and these people put up great stuff since then. And I can see where I stopped, getting stuff off him. And that other site, Robert Goodwin or whatever,
Yes, he's good.
He's got some great stuff. And some really ancient records like 1902 and stuff.
Yes, he's got some... He inherited the Colonel's archive.
Ah, yes. I read a news group about that.
Yes.
And there's a big controversy, personalities and all sorts of things.
Yes, but I think he's got the records from that enormous collection.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good.
There's some records there from early, like 2002, 1902 and stuff.
Yep.
They sound fantastic. And some Italian records and a few other ones, they sound like an electric recording.
Yeah.
Like, most sound pretty like you expect.
Yes.
But these ones, I don't know what it is. I've listened to them. I thought, he must have got it wrong, but no, it's 1902 or something.
Sure.
And it must have been, you had everything right. The engineer really knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
The wax was the right consistency. Maybe...
Sure. So many variables, aren't there?
Yeah, and there's no noise. It just hasn't got that early sound. It sounds like an early Edison cylinder that hasn't been wrecked.
Okay.
And
wow, fantastic.
It's really fantastic, some of those things.
Well, please send me some links. I'm keen to hear. Anything that's recorded well in the early days of the century is certainly worth a listen, and because you get the full experience. So definitely. Oh, that's most excellent. And look, there are some extraordinary. Oh, look, I was just looking at a site. I mean, I've got to retire.
You have to get a 10,000-year extension on your life.
Yeah, I just need to, because there's so much good stuff out there. Now, I was just looking out. Here we go. Here's a site called Excavated Shellac. Now, look that one up. excavatedshellac.com. And this is vast. And it's all material from other continental and African material, and all from sort of third world countries. Everything's totally non-mainstream, and it's just vast amounts of it. It's just another universe.
I think the theory of multiple universes is true.
Yes,
particularly
definitely.
In music.
Yes, it certainly is, and it's all there, and it's got Indian recordings. It's got all of the provinces, music of different, ethnic groups, and their music. Everyone was recording. This is the thing that astonishes me: is everyone was recording as early as the 1900s. It was all happening in a blom. It was going places, and it's just quite staggering how many records were made. So look, here we go, Sudan. It's just it just goes on and on.
They
So
must have had their own little recording booth.
They would have.
And
yeah.
this is called
Excavated Shellac.
Okay.
Excavated Shellac. It's,
right.
It's another site.
People have spent so much time doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's quite remarkable.
Yes, that's right. And there's the I-78 site, which is vast. And I mean, there's another universe. The great thing about that one, of course, is that they're non-processed, so you can do what you like with them, and which is always good.
It's normally if I spend half an hour, I feel guilty. I'm just wasting time. But well, so what, And I've just spent hours going through, and you follow a wormhole through to something else you didn't even know existed.
That's it. That's the experience.
It's fascinating. It's like a kid going to a chocolate factory.
Yeah.
You don't know what to eat first.
I know, exactly. You don't know where to start. It's exactly like that. And now that we have the world at our fingertips, we can just sort of basically go where our mind takes us. And but yes, these archives, whenever I stumble on something new, I'll let you know, because it's all there. And even today, I was got I don't belong to Facebook anymore, but I got a message from Mr. Fleming, who's mentioned that he's listening, and that he found a dance band site on Facebook. Now, I tentatively opened up thinking it's not going to open because I'm not a member, but it did. And there's another 1,000 recordings. And that's Mr. Holmes and all his cohort.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's there.
It's amazing, and the quality of the record, the transfers is getting better.
It is. You've got to chase the right people, though, and that's an art in itself. And there's a lot of poor transfers out there. And
Holmes has always been good.
Yes,
and Prozoot and Goodwood.
Yes, Goodwin doesn't do any processing.
And hopes for the best, and
that's
it's better than not doing anything.
Well, that's it. I mean, people who don't process anything at all, warts and all, that's fine, because it's all we want. You can at least re-equalise it. It's only when people have done massive noise reduction.
Yeah, and a lot of people there must be a lot of good a lot of your records are like mine. They're all worn out.
Yeah.
But some people must have a collection that hasn't been worn out.
Oh, look, there are dedicated collectors who have really pristine examples of these things, and they're the Prozoots of this world. I mean, vast collections, and they're in the public domain. Jonathan Holmes, another one. Atticus Jazz. His stuff is just incredible. He does such a good job processing them, and they're excellent. So all these anthologies in the 70s, 60s, and 70s and 80s of pop music were all sound woolly in comparison. You might as well throw those vinyls away, because it's all been done again and it's improved. And I think that's the new normal. We're sort of in a place where we can re-equalise and
I think they probably just put it through a few equalisers and things and hope for the best, and boosted it so it sounded less old.
All you need to do is boost the bass and boost the treble, and sort of maybe filter off a little bit of just a very small amount of noise reduction, and that's fine. It works well. They especially electric recordings. Acoustics take a bit more judicious treatment, but long as they're recorded flat and not mucked around with, then you can do anything with them.
That's right. Yeah, I'm talking on the ICOM IC2A.
Ah, okay.
It sounds better than the other one.
Okay, right. Yeah, very good. Yeah, the IC2A sounds great.
With the little wheels.
Yeah, the little wheels on top.
I ground the flat on each of the wheels so I know where I was.
Oh, very good. That's a great way to do things. It's great. Yeah, they're terrific little sets. I use them for receiving. And, that's good. Now, the 2A does work well. So you just barefoot, or are you going through a preamp? You must be going through a preamp or something, going through a bit of a boost, because they're only about 2 watts, aren't they?
No, it's only just going through a standby antenna. The big antenna's tuttled. I think something's broken up the top.
Ah, right. Okay.
But it is 30 years old.
Yes, I suppose it is. Yeah.
My second handheld, first one was a Ken, and I got a 2A.
Oh, very good.
And you didn't have to buy crystals.
That's right. Exactly right.
That's
all band coverage.
That's a big thing. Now, the other thing is, looking at this excavated shellac site, there's all these amazing boutique labels, just labels that I've never heard of. Very colourful, beautiful labels. Here's one, Sudan phone, and all this music in Sudanese. It's just incredible stuff. But I'm quite excited by folk traditions, early recordings of folk music, because it's pretty generic. If you're recording a folk ensemble in a third world country in 1905, you're pretty much cutting to the chase. I mean, that music would be very provincial. It wouldn't have been sort of influenced as much by international styles. So that sort of thing I think is really interesting. You get real authenticity. So yeah, that's another point of intrigue. But good stuff, Dave. Well done. We'll just keep it going. Just keep looking for stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I might as well. I did a fair bit last year until the interest went off. But I'm just adding to that.
Yeah, do it in fits and starts, and just compile a whole lot of stuff, and you can just put it on rotation and add to it if you want to. And you'll probably once you move into your new place, I'm sure there'll be a lot to do, a lot to get.
Well, that's right. And basically, it's anything I like. I don't really care about anyone else, but if they want to listen to it, that's fine.
Of course, that's always the way. It's the best. Yeah.
And a bit like you, melancholic, minor chords are the way to go to.
Oh yeah,
minor chords.
Oh yes, I always enjoy pieces, particularly pop music in a minor key. There's something about it. Yeah, good stuff. All right. Well, look, we'll have a bit of a musical offering. I think we'll just keep spinning. And speaking of new uploads, this is one of the ones on that Facebook page, and it's a recording of the new Mayfair Dance Orchestra. This is one of Nick Dello's uploads. He always does a good job with these. And this is a recording with, I think, Ray Noble and the band. It's before Al Boldy joined, but I think it's got some really good trumpet solos from Mr. Goldberg, Max Goldberg, who ended up in Australia. And if I'm not mistaken, there's also a Frank Coughlin solo on the trombonium. Anyhow, let's have a listen. New Mayfair Dance Orchestra from 1920, about 1929, I think. vk3sl. have it. The new Mayfair Dance Orchestra, British danceman music at its best, about 1929, and that is courtesy of Nick Dellu, who's one of the celebrated uploaders. There's a handful on YouTube who put up really interesting rare recordings for public consumption.
Just right for Mayfair, I would say that.
Yeah.
It's the most expensive property on
Oh,
Monopoly.
yes, on the Monopoly table. That's right. It is. Mayfair. Everyone wants to get Mayfair and Park Lane.
That's right.
Yes. Yes, the blue ribbon.
Put a few hotels on and then have
That's right. That
the
is
other players give you lots of money.
I know. Exactly. The big Monopoly game. Yeah, I'm not patient enough to play Monopoly.
I was then.
Oh, and I'm not determined enough. I haven't got that sort of, I don't know, some people, it brings out the...
You're going to make a tycoon, Steve.
Yeah, I'm afraid not.
I think I'm right.
I'm too happy to just trip out and listen to good music or something.
I think you've got to have an innate interest in money to be really good. I haven't really.
No, you've got to be pretty, sort of driven in that regard, but that's just not in my DNA, I'm afraid.
Same.
Yeah. I just found out recently that, I shouldn't be mentioning this on there, but a big part of my salary I hadn't been paid, and that there was a mistake. And I didn't even notice until things started to dry up, and then suddenly, it's all been fixed. But see, I wouldn't have known. I don't even look at pay slips and things.
No, I don't.
No, yeah. Anyhow,
my wife doesn't.
Yeah, that's my better half does all of that. Now, here is another. I'm keen to try this system out because this particular Facebook page. Now, I'm not a member of Facebook, but I can seem to be able to open this one up, which is good because I can do it anonymously, and it means I don't sort of feel clickbaited into Facebook mania.
That's very good. I was very pleased to hear you seen the light.
Yeah, well, that's right. I've been able to expunge myself from all of that. And
that's very good. I never joined it, but my kids joined it.
Oh, look, everyone's very involved, but I'm happier not being involved.
Same.
But so anyhow, there is an upload here on that page which has been referred to a box upload. It's boxes, I think, it's like a file sharing medium. I think Jamie uses that quite a bit. And so I'm going to try that out. And it's another, in the same feed as that new Mayfair Orchestra recording, there was someone else put up their record, but not on YouTube, but on Box. So we'll hear it in that format. I'm vk3sl.
vk3sl.
Stars above, sweet things you're thinking of. It's great to be in love. The skies are always sunny, and life is sweet as honey. You can buy it with money. It's great to be in love. Oh, you'll learn how to take, learn how to give, learn how to love, and you'll learn how to live. Oh, it's great to get that feeling. And oh, boy, what a feeling. It sets your senses reeling. It's great to be in love. It's great to be in love. Oh boy, it's great to be in love.
There we go. That was a box offering. Ray Noble and the band in that instance from 1931.
Oh, Bowley's sounding pretty relaxed.
Yeah, he certainly is. Yeah, he's in good form, Mr. Bowley. And so, just acknowledging this Facebook page, another resource which is sort of a little bit more diverse. There's all manner of things. In fact, the next record I'm going to be very careful about announcing. In fact, I'm not going to announce it really. All I'm going to say is the Brits were nowhere near as prudish as we thought they were. And how do I contextualise this one? No, I won't even say anything else other than say that this is not salicious, it's more selicious. And it's probably, we can say, it's 50 Shades of Mr. Roy and his band. And I will not be back announcing this track.
I like to pet, and every evening we get set. I stroke it every chance I get. It's my girl's pussy, seldom plays and never purrs, and I love the thoughts it stirs, but I don't mind because it's hers. It's my girl's pussy. Often it goes out at night, returns at break of dawn. No matter what the weather's like, it's always nice and warm. It's never dirty, always clean, in giving thrills, never mean. But it's the best I've ever seen, is my girl's pussy. And every evening we get set. I stroke it every chance I get. It's my girl's pussy, seldom plays, never burns, and I love thoughts it stirs, but I don't mind because it's hers. It's my girl's pussy. Though often it goes out at night and returns at break of dawn, break of dawn. No matter what the weather's like, it's always dry and warm. I bring tidbits that it loves. We still like two turtle doves. I take care to remove my gloves when stroking my girl's pussy.
Harry Roy and his Bat Club Boys there, and we have played that before, but I was quite enchanted to see that it was on that list I just mentioned.
Yes,
Facebook list.
yes.
Extraordinary stuff. Now, he also did She Has to Go and Lose It at the Astor track. And apparently these records sold in vast quantities under the counter. Apparently.
Not at all surprised.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're right there. You've got some echo mania there. Anyhow, after all of that, we've got to cool down a bit. So I think I will play a xylophone solo. And on an old Echo 78, a xylophone solo from about 1920. And Echo were the budget label for Vocalion. So, yeah, let's have a listen to Faust Fantasia. And I can't recall who the soloist is. We'll find out in due course. I'm vk3sl testing. There we go. The xylophone recorded so well. It always sounds good.
That's through beautifully.
Yeah. Oh, wow, you've got some great echo there.
I'm sorry, hold on.
Is it me?
No, it's me, I think.
Okay. Oh, it sounds quite spacious.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's that delay you got in one of your sets there. What year was that?
That recording was about 1920, just after the First World War.
That any percussion thing, Latin and banjo, just sounded fantastic.
They record very well, didn't they? Yeah, a guy called M.E. Flynn playing the xylophone there. And I always look for solo records from this era, and because they're always interesting and they're always a bit idiosyncratic, and particularly woodwind and mallet percussion instruments recorded really well. Violins and things didn't quite so well, but yeah, they're good. They're good to find. So that was a little bit of a discovery today in the pile. That's the budget Vocalion. I was going to try and play a cylinder. I've just put the 4-minute reproducer in, but I can't quite get the... I've got a little piezo transducer thing that I've tried to set up to make this work. And I need to refine this whole concept, but I'd love to play cylinders more, and I will, in time, I'll sort of fork out and spend the $500 and get a a proper reproducer like Jamie has. But in the interim, we'll try and persevere with this this type of transduce piezo arrangement. So I've got an amber roll on now. This one's from about 1908. And it's very sort of quirky. It's a guy called Joe Belmont, who was a whistler. In fact, I can take the cylinder off and hold it up to the microphone. It's an afternoon in June, Murray and Belmont. I won't play the whole thing because these amber rolls go for 4 minutes, and I think people will be a bit sick of it by then. But look, whistling was all the go. I'm just going to switch this in, and we'll try and hear some cylinder magic from about 1908. Let's give it a whirl. So folks, I can do better than that. I had it right before. I've got to push this thing right in, and then that's still not happening. What's going on here? I've got to make sure I touch the diaphragm with the little piezo thing. Oh man, this is crazy. It was working really well before. Well, not really well, but you know. We'll try it again. Poke the thing in, get it into the slot, and then see if we can find the contact point which gives us a good resolve. No, it looks like it's not going to work for us, you know. I will persevere and see if I can find a happy medium for future missions. The other option, of course, is to get a little microphone, because we'll see if this works. I'll take this off. It's happening. Okay, we'll come back to this, folks. We'll underscore and return to the topic. I did have it going before, but it is rather a rudimentary transfer process. And whistling records were all the go, and it's just sort of quaint Edwardian kitsch, hearing the whistlers. And I'm sorry, that didn't quite work out as I planned, but what we can do is find something else equally as weird and wonderful, because I found an album of records, flood damage records. Years ago, the collection of records in my parents' garage succumbed to a flood, and a lot of them were underwater for months. And many had to be tossed, but some of them were sort of okay. And this is one such album. It's pretty RS, to be honest. But we'll pull a record out, and we have here Mr. Eddie Bowers playing the mouth organ. And this record goes back to about 1932, 33. I think this dude was an Australian. I think there's an Australian connection here. But we have a choice. We have some Scotch and Irish medleys, or the New Colonial March. I reckon we'll go for the Scotch and Irish medley. Oh, sorry, I've got the 2 meters down there. And I have to switch the other thing off. Sorry, folks, there's a bit of a process here, because I've got the cylinder plugged into the same mixer that I used for 2 meters. There we go. It was feeding back. There we go. 2 meters is back open again. All right. So, yes, we have Eddie Bowers on the mouth organ, and he's going to play some Reels and Jigs, Scottish and Irish medley is the name of the disc. It's on a Regal Zonophone. This was pretty quiet, considering the fact that it was underwater for a period. So let's sample and see. music of Percy Spouse playing the harmonica. And, this is an example of how diverse niche interest groups are. I didn't know anything about Percy Spouse 5 minutes ago, but I did the search-o-matic and found out that there is indeed on YouTube an Australian harmonica archive. And Mr. Spouse was the champion for 1928, Percy Spouse. And it says here, Percy Spouse...
He's pretty good.
He's a good player. Yeah, it says Percy Spouse...
I don't think I'm causing this.
Yeah, it's probably me. I probably knocked up the... I didn't know what I'd probably done, because I use the same mixer as I do for the cylinders, and I reckon I've given something a nudge.
It's a great sound.
Well, it sort of is.
Sound like I'm in a big super bathroom.
You sound cavernous.
That's right.
There we go. Let's talk now.
Hello. Hello.
That's better. Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
I'll do a complete reset, but I can't see how I can be doing it, because I've got no audio coming through the one channel to feed back.
No, that's it. Oh,
but I turned it right on.
Yeah, something's going on here, but it sounds all right.
It's not. It won't be good for the stream.
Yeah.
Let me go away and I'll come back in a minute.
No, you don't need to. I reckon it probably is here somewhere. Probably something. It's just I can reset it all later. But yeah, something's going on. Hello, you still there?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
Hello.
Yeah. Well, it's not quite as cavernous as it was.
No.
I've turned down because it has got a reverb on it, this mixer, and the mixer I use. See, I share a mixer for the cylinder player and for the inputs, and I think I might have accidentally nudged something, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, I don't mind.
I don't mind for the moment. I'll have to investigate later. But
okay.
I'm in the spouse mood at the moment. I want to find out about Percy's spouse. And this chap...
Oh, yes, that was a very good playing of the old harmonica.
Yeah. he's pretty
mouth
good.
organ.
Mouth organ. Says Percy Spouse holds the records for the most unaccompanied harmonica recordings made in Australia. He is the highest selling... Yeah, he's the highest selling unaccompanied harmonica recording artist and probably won the most first places at state and national mouth organ championships. Wow.
I thought that was terrific, the way he was doing the vamp and at the same time playing quite a floral sort of top.
Yeah, he's almost creating sort of an explicit beat there.
I don't know how he actually did it.
Yeah, it was some sort of choking thing.
It must be.
It was really clever. Yeah, so he was able to get... I'll have to get my harmonica out. Have I got my harmonica here? I'll have to...
I used to play it.
Yeah, it's good fun. Yeah, I like the harmonica.
They're not so extraordinarily difficult, really, are they?
No, they're not. Not at all.
Because it does the chords for you.
That's right, exactly. You just sort of chord along. So here we go. What else? 1928, his second recording session was the year he hit the stride with his best-selling record of all time, the Anvil Chorus. Right. Percy Spouse is now being belatedly recognised as one of the greatest vamping-style harmonica players in history. Well, there we go. That is a great sort of entrant. We'll have to flip the disc, I think, Frank.
Definitely.
Yeah, and listeners, we can all get our harmonicas out, and we could have a bit of a jam. Here we go. Mouth organ solo by Eddie Mr. Bowers. Oh no, this is different. I thought it was Percy Spouse. It's Eddie Bowers. Well, that was a big mistake. Well, that's okay, because we can hear Eddie Bowers, who might have been the third place in the competition, maybe. I thought it was Percy Spouse, but it's actually Eddie Bowers, says here. Right, well, we'll just sort of dismiss all that stuff about Percy Spouse, and we'll... actually, I do have a Percy Spouse record here. I'll see if I can find it. But we'll hear Eddie Bowers now, and the new Colonial March on a Regal Zonophone. Here we go, in the groove. And that was Eddie Bowers on the harmonica there, the
I do
mouth
not
organ.
know how he does that.
Yeah, it's quite extraordinary, isn't it? There's a lot of it's almost like there's two instruments, really.
How can you hold a top note and do that vamp thing underneath?
I reckon you must have a rubbery mouth.
I think he's got two heads.
He might be doing it with someone.
I think he's doing it with someone, Steve. I can't conceive of how you do that.
Yes, yes, here on the label, Mouth Organ Solo by Eddie Bowers. So maybe Eddie had two mouths. Maybe he was Siamese.
Might have, who knows?
Who knows?
I'm not going to do any of the two-headed jokes.
No, we won't go there. But look, I just gave this big bio for Percy Spouse, the Australian one, thinking it was Eddie Bowers and not putting the dots together. So in my hand, I do have an a PC Spouse record.
Before you do it, I owe you an apology. I reset my thing and it's fixed.
Okay, I quite like the ambience before. Yeah.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, it sort of adds a different sort of vibe. Yeah.
Certainly was.
Anyhow, this is a Regal 78 from 1930, and it says on the label, it says Mouth Organ Solo by PC Spouse. I've got it right this time. Australian champion, 1925, 1927, and 1928. So this record must be shortly after that time. Now we've got Waltz Memories or March Medley, and I think the March Medley might be a little bit more upbeat.
Oh, for the evening, yes. Yeah. Time of night.
I think so.
This time of night, definitely.
Definitely. So we've got King Cotton, Liberty Bell, Teddy Bear's Picnic.
Oh, how about the Liberty Bell?
Oh, right. Well, I think all three are sort of...
They're all good. That'd be a medley.
They're a part of the medley. So let's have a listen to Mr. Spouse. Whoa, there we go. That was Mr. PC Spouse, the harmonica champion of Australia.
Amazing.
Yeah, good playing.
It's just him. That is, I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, he does it well. So
Does it extremely well.
It was all the go. It's inspired me. I got my mouth organ.
Oh, excellent. What key are you in there,
I
Steve?
think this is a G, blues harp.
I've got an F. I've got an F and I've got a C. But
Oh, if you played your F while I played my G, it would sound really abstract. It could be good.
I don't think the audience is ready for that.
No, probably not. This one's got a stuck thing in it. Has been used for a while, but they're good fun to play. I play it backwards.
Oh, bravo.
Well, there we go. I had no chromatics in that one, so I couldn't play the accidentals, but bit of fun. Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to love playing the harmonica. But
I've got a chromatic somewhere.
well,
I never really mastered it.
okay, we could would it work over Zoom? And there's a bit of latency.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't work.
Oh well, we could try something one day.
One day we will. One day.
When we do a
Perhaps
live
when I
missions.
come over there.
Yeah, bring it over and we'll see if we can do some sort of jam session with harmonicas. That'd be fun.
It would.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, it's even given one of our listeners Gold Rush aspirations.
Yes, it's a bit like that, isn't it?
Yes.
Australia in the, what would it be? Eureka Stockade stuff.
That's exactly it. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I imagine that sort of thing would have been right. Would have been banjos. I don't think they had ukuleles then. Probably banjos.
Certainly banjos.
Maybe Jews harps. Do you think? I don't know. Were they using the Jews harps back in the early days?
I don't know.
I wonder. But yeah, I would have loved to have heard the music on the golf fields. I would have loved to have heard them sing. Yes, definitely those little button accordions would have been the go. Yeah, I think that's
given one of those.
You were? Really? Oh, wow. Gosh.
They thought I was going to be a musical genius.
Oh, that's
all of my relatives got their old musical instruments out.
They gave them to you.
Them
I think I remember you saying you got a zither at one stage. Did you get a zither?
I got a zither.
Yeah.
But I bought that at an auction room. Well, Mum did.
Ah, right. See, that's another interesting instrument. I think there are zither solos. See, this is the thing.
Oh, yes, the Harry Lime theme.
Yeah, that's right.
Anton Karas.
That was a big hit, wasn't it?
Huge.
Oh, God, that was huge.
Good, too.
Yes. Okay, I've got a food delivery here.
Oh.
Meal's been delivered.
You're doing well.
Oh, this is...
I think we're having the takeaway tonight.
Okay, all right. Yeah, thanks, Kate. That's fantastic. I'm so lucky. I'm being waited on here.
You are.
Yeah, I know. I don't have to do anything. So I reckon I could just sort of draw the sound thing. No, I shouldn't say that.
Now, we've got a phone call here, so I'll just...
Yes, I'll let you
cut
take
out
the
from
call. Okay, all right. Well, we've got to find another record. I'm going to go back to this flood damaged album because none of these have been played. And there's some weird and wonderful things in this album. It's an album, but the bottom sort of rotted out. But the record seems to be okay. Here's the St Hilda Colliery Band. God, this record's early. Gee, this one goes back to about 1910. Oh, it's pretty dusty though, and it's damaged. But look, we'll give it a burl. And this, here we go. It's even dated. We've got the Death or Glory March by the St Hilda Colliery Band. And it says here's Winners Championship Trophy 1912. There we go. That's the date of this disc. It's on a very early Columbia record. And but they always sounded good. We could hear the Conqueror March or the Death or Glory March. Sounds a bit ominous, the Death or Glory March. Oh, we'll play it. Put it on. Slap it on. in the groove. This is a total unknown. We'll just suck it and see. Okay, if you could put up with all of the hailstorm in the background there, that was St Hilda's Colliery Band, I think. Let me get the title right this time. Yes, Death or Glory March, St Hilda's Colliery Band, winners of the championship trophy in 1912. They got the big tick. Their record isn't bad, Nick. I probably could clean it up, you know. This album is just, it's been underwater and it has dried out, but dried out about 10 years ago. What else is in here? Here we go. March of the Mitten Men. Oh, March Records. Let's see what this one's like. Oh, this one looks like it's in slightly better condition. The Philadelphia Band. And on the other side is the Thunderer. That's a Sousa song. Yeah. John Philip Sousa, he was the March King. Big name in the band scene. Made lots of records, but this is the Philadelphia Band. Oh, I reckon we'll hear the Thunderer. It's on an old Zonophone, and again, it's an acoustic. These records go back to around about 1920. They're a little after the First World War. I don't think they're electric. Oh, maybe. There's a little thing on the matrix that defines whether they're electric. We'll have to listen and see. But here we go, the Thunderer on a Zonophone. This is vk3sl testing. What a sound. That's the sound of the Philadelphia band there in, I reckon it's acoustic. It's electric. I'm pretty sure it is. And let's see. Yeah, Philadelphia band, The Thunderer by Sousa. But what a sound. It's
very thunderous, wasn't it?
Oh, look, it was. And it draws me into another world. And in the time where, I mean, every memorial park in Australia has got its bandstand.
Yes.
And people's entertainment used to be going out to the park and hearing the local band play.
On a Sunday.
On a Sunday afternoon, yeah. And I always think of that when I hear these band recordings. I see these sort of forlorn bandstands where nobody uses anymore. And I think, wow, it used to be like the hub of sort of community stuff. So, yeah, I do like band recordings. And bands sound very different today. They're different pitches, different bores on the instrument. They sound a lot more brazen than that American sort of international style is very much at the fore. And these earlier recordings do have different qualities. There's one more. I'll just play one more from the same album. So this person must have been a band person who loved band music and assembled them all. And this one is the Grand the Grand Massed Brass Bands at the Leicester Brass Band Festival 1934. 14 bands, 350 performers, conducted by James Oliver.
And one microphone.
So could you imagine the event? It would have been like the military tattoo on steroids. They would have all been lined up. They would have looked so good. They would have had shiny buttons, and there would have been just an ocean of players.
How'd you go conducting it?
Oh, I don't know.
Like herding cats.
It would have been like herding cats. It'll sound pretty loose, but it's special, you know. It's an experience. It's like, you know, Handel years ago was, you know, his fireworks and his water music.
Of course, they had huge numbers.
He had enormous orchestras of 1,000. Well, here we go. This is 14 bands, 350 performers. The Champion March Medley from 1934 on Regal's Honophone. I'll just find the record in the slot, and we'll have to hear this. vk3sl testing. Well, the crowd are pleased. We've got a standing ovation there for their massed band event in
very good,
1930. Oh, look, it
actually.
was fantastic. I loved every moment of that. Yeah, wow, what a
Very good. I
sound.
shouldn't have said and done nasty things.
No, it's fine. It's great music, and it's sort of, I don't know. I want to go to the park and hear bands play.
I know.
Yeah, makes me want to pick up the trombone again and join a community band. Maybe I see, it's another thing to do with my retirement. So I need to retire soon so I can do
a
this.
huge number of things.
There's too many things to do. It would be so good to play in a great brass band. And I used to play in the Box Hill band the Scout band for a bit, and
yes.
on the euphonium.
Excellent.
A long time ago, and then on the trombone for a bit, and then I sort of moved into the string sphere. But look, I think band music is something really special about the sound of brass, the way it blends, the way the harmonics blend, and there's a real sort of unity. And I've got a real soft spot for that type of experience, that aesthetic. So. Well, that was really special. There's much more. We'll save some more up for another time. That album, those Flood Damage records, actually are not too bad at all. They come up really well. So there's no problem with them.
Sounded great.
Yeah. Now, I've got something a little bit unusual. I was riffing through a pile and found this record. It says on the label, Little Jazz Bird from Lady Be Good, Gershwin. Now, this is a really early recording. In fact, it's the year it was written, about 1924.
Good heavens.
So and to make matters more interesting, it's actually performed by an Australian, a woman called Kitty Reedy. Now, I don't know anything about Kitty Reedy, and I refer this to we've got some excellent researchers in our midst who might be able to sort of illuminate the topic. There's a little bit online, and she was a stage performer, and when I discovered this record, I quickly sent off a note to the fellow, it's a chap who runs a site for sort of forgotten Australian actors and actresses, and I mentioned her to him, and I'm hoping that there will be a little bit more information gleaned, because Kitty Reedy was apparently a big name in London by the small amount of information I've got in the mid-1920s. She was involved in a bit...
Should have heard of it then.
Yeah, it was for a short time, but she was involved in a scandal. She ran off with a guy called Bertrand Wooster, I think. And
Bertie Wooster.
And it wasn't Bertie, but it's well, I wonder if Wodehouse used this fellow as the name.
I know.
Quite possible. But yeah, there was a scandal, and it was all in the papers. And if you look up Kitty Reedy's name, you just get all of the salacious details about the affair, and how they even had reporters outside the bedroom, the hotel door.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it got that involved. And all the gruesome details are there online. If you feel
like one of my old divorce cases.
Right, yes. It was quite a high-profile thing, because both she and Mr. Wooster were sort of quite well-known performers on the stage, and there's a poor wife left behind, and I think it's all a bit sad, really.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's really, really sad. But putting all of that aside, Kitty Reedy apparently was quite a name, and there's evidence...
Quite a performer on and off the stage.
I expect that's the case. Right up until the late 1930s, you still see her name crop up, and then it's sort of, don't know what happened. But she was born in Australia, and she was born in 1902, and goodness knows what ended up happening to her. But this is significant because she's singing Little Jazz Bird from Lady Be Good, and it's pretty much at the nexus, at the time the work was written. It's a London performance. The original was performed, I think, with Fred Astaire and Adele Astaire.
Yes, I'm sure that's right.
Yes, Fred and Adele, before Ginger Rogers was on the scene. They were involved with the...
Adele was your sister, wasn't she?
That's right. She was a very, very fine dancer.
Apparently she was as good a dancer as he.
Oh, I think she was even more acclaimed.
Yep.
So, interesting story there. But at the same time in London, the Lady Be Good was being featured as well. And this is an example. So, an early Vocalion 78. It's an early electric. And it features Kitty Reedy, sort of a forgotten Australian. Reedy is Reidy. And we'll hear her sing this track. called Little Jazz Bird. So now it's one of these small holes. We'll get it in. Ready to go.
Into a cabaret one fateful day a little songbird flew. Found it so very gay he thought he'd stay just to get a bird's eye view. When he heard the jazz band playing, he was happy as a lark. To his merry joy he kept swaying, and he stayed till after dark. Then back to the day he used, thrilled through and through, he sailed on in the air. Moved on the other birds and in his words started circling then and there. I'm a little jazz bird and I'm telling you to be one fool. For a little jazz bird is in heaven when it's singing a blues. I sit with regret, but you're out of days. You ain't heard nothing yet till you see your face. When the going is rough, you will find your troubles all have to go. If you walk with your song like the morning of a second moon, just write my recipe, and I'm sure you'll agree that a little jazz bird is the only kind of bird to be. When he had had his tea right straight away, his friends in the corner cried, "You are a clever bird from what you've heard, and the truth you cannot hide. Oh, in so long and for reason, will you kindly teach us to stop at last in syncopation, just the same as people do? So down by a steaming pool he held a stool, so pupil sent to me. There every day at 9, all in the night, he was teaching birdie dear. I'm a little jazz bird and I'm telling you to be one fool. For the little jazz bird is in heaven when it's singing a blues. I sit with regret, but you're out of days. You ain't heard nothing yet till you sing for faith. When the going is rough, you will find your troubles all have to mourn. If you walk your son like the morning of a second moon, just write my recipe, and I'm sure you'll agree that a little jazz bird is the only kind of bird to be.
The forgotten Australian soprano Kitty Reedy on that record from the mid-1920s. And that's as close to the source as you can possibly get for the premiere of Lady Be Good by George Gershwin in 1924. And a London performance there by Miss Reedy, or Ms. Reedy. And so, yeah, commend her. Look her up because she's beautiful, and there's a story there. I mean, it's an extraordinary story, and some lovely portraits of her, and quite a bit of information about her. So yeah, I'd like to find out more. I'm keen to discover her, Miss Kitty Reedy. Now, the great thing about Gershwin's music is that it's so universal. It's timeless, really. And I thought it would be sort of fitting to play that same song in a more contemporary realisation. So I've dialed up Blossom Dearie singing the same song in the last few years. So we'll hear Little Jazz Bird in a different decade.
Into a cabaret one fatal day, a little songbird flew. Found it so very gay, he thought he'd stay just to get a bird's eye view. when he heard the jazz band playing. He was happy as a lark. To each measure he kept swaying, and he stayed till after dark. Then back to the land he knew, thrilled through and through, he sailed on in the air. Called all the other birds, and in these words started gurgling then and there. I'm a little jazz bird, and I'm telling you to be one too. For a little jazz bird is in heaven when it's singing blue. I say it with regret, but you're out of date. You ain't heard nothing yet till you syncopate. When the going is rough, you will find your troubles all have flown. If you warble your stuff like the moaning of a saxophone, just try my recipe, and I'm sure you'll agree that a little jazz bird is the only kind of bird to be. I say it with regret, but you're out of date. You ain't heard nothing yet till you syncopate. When the going is rough, you will find your troubles all have flown. If you warble your stuff like the moaning of a saxophone, just try my recipe, and I'm sure you'll agree that a little jazz bird is the only kind of bird to be.
Blossom Dearie there with Little Jazz Bird, and the same song as we heard earlier with Kitty Reedy. So isn't it interesting to hear it over the course of really two generations apart? One recording from the mid-1920s and one from the early 2000s, I gather. So, yeah. Music of Gershwin from Lady Be Good. Yeah, on an early 78, when you see the name Gershwin, it's always worth listening to because his early recordings sort of reveal the sound that he was hearing at that time when he wrote those songs. And there's such enduring melodies that they can be reconstituted and lend themselves to reinvention. Anyhow, we're ticking away here, and what's the time? Oh, not that long. I might play another record or two, and then we'll see if we can reconfigure ready for tonight, I suppose. So, Frank, you still with us? Maybe not. Maybe he's gone doing something else for the minute. What I can do is riff. It's a mess in here. Here we go. Here's a Decca. Will Osborne and his orchestra. It says here, Will Osborne's theme song, The Gentleman Awaits. It's the name of the song. It's on an American Decca. So these are, you don't see these in Australia very often. And the other side's Tell Me Pretty Maiden. But I'll play the first side, The Gentleman Awaits, and we'll see if Frank's coming back. If not, we'll probably just wind up with an LP for the next little while I do wash up my dishes. The Gentleman Awaits is the name of the song. Will Osborne. I'm vk3sl, testing on 160 and on UHF, also streaming online. Osborne and the orchestra there on an American Decca. Don't know where that came from. May have been brought over by a serviceman during the war, perhaps.
Sounded good.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Will Osborne and his orchestra. So, Frank, what are we going to do tonight?
This is just a small thing. I was listening to the radio this morning and I came upon... Do you know of Louis Gottschalk?
Gottschalk? Ah, yes, I've heard of Gottschalk. I'm writing it down now.
He was born in New Orleans in the early 19th century.
Yes.
And he's the first composer to write sort of classical music with a healthy touch of Creole.
Oh, how interesting. Okay. Oh, look, that would be a great topic. Shall we sort of follow on with that, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of it we want to play. There's a lovely little thing that he wrote called a pasquinade.
Can you P?
Pasquinade.
Pasquinade.
Little piano piece.
Yes. Okay, I've written that down.
There's another one called, it's just called The Banjo.
The Banjo. Okay, great. Look, I've heard the name, and I can't place him, so that's good.
He's interesting because of this fusion of styles, if you like, and he was exposed to the slave music and the Creole. He was part Creole himself.
Right, how interesting. Okay,
Creole.
That sounds great, Frank. Well, look, we'll definitely run with that. And look, I probably won't go very late tonight.
That's good. I'm quite pleased about that.
Yeah, look,
really.
I think that at this point in time, I've got to sort of work on the recovery phase. I've been asleep most of the day today.
Yeah, well, that's good.
And I'll probably, I'll have a snooze before tonight, but we'll probably just go for an hour and a half or something.
Sounds excellent.
And so, yeah, we'll look at the music of Gotch Chalk, and I'll look up those pieces, and we'll run with that theme. And I've got an interesting record here of which I'll save to tonight. I'll play it just before I dial you in, and of Conrad Veidt. He was an actor in the 1930s, German actor, and he escaped just before the Anschluss and escaped to Britain. But UFA made these amazing, Weimar Republic films. One of them was a film called FP1, which was all about like a huge aircraft carrier, which was for refueling biplanes, and it's fantastic. It's just like science fiction meets war film. It's incredible stuff, and is full of steampunk equipment. It's just so fascinating. And the film was made in German and in English, and I think another language too, might be Italian. And so it was made in a few languages, and it was released just before Hitler came into power, and it takes the piss out of Hitler a little bit as well.
Good.
Yes, that was a major achievement, really. And But so I've been reading about the film and watching it a little bit of it today. But I happen to have a record here of Conrad Veidt doing excerpts from the film, and he does sort of a talk, and I'll see if I can provide a broader context to that later on, and play that just and we'll dial in as we do around about midnightish. So that would be good. So, yeah,
sure.
That sounds like fun. All right, well, look, I'll find... What's the time now? It's getting close to 7. So, look, I'll play the other side of that Will Osborne record.
Yeah,
and then see...
I'm going to have to eat very soon.
Yes. I've been very lucky because I've just had the food delivered. And, so we'll look forward to your company later on. And to listeners, anyone attending the Hamfest tomorrow, I'm sorry I can't be there. I was looking forward to seeing people in the flesh.
Yeah, it would have been good.
Would have been good, but it's not the right thing to do. And I'll have to save up.
Going, do you know?
I think so.
Yeah.
And we'll save up pennies for next time. So I've got my want list.
That's right.
I don't need anything really.
Well, I don't.
But it would be fun, and it'll be the Hamfest of Fest. So it's always a big one, the Moorabbin. It's a big.
Yeah, it's very big.
It's in a huge hall, and there's lots of people there. Mr. AML will have his roaming microphone, so there'll be a few interviews. So it'll all be most excellent.
Excellent.
And we'll finish now with a Will Osborne record and see if I can find something just to write out the last bit.
I'll go to listening.
Okay, thanks, Frank.
vk3sl is closing down.
Okay, thanks so much. Good to catch up, Frank.
Likewise, Steve.
Thank you for your input. Now,
Talk later.
Yeah, indeed we will. So here we go. Tell Me, Pretty Maiden is the name of the track. We're listening to the music of Will Osborne and his orchestra on an American Decca. And we are ready to go.
Oh, tell me, pretty maiden, are there any more at home like you?
There are a few, kind sir, but simple girls and proper too.
Then tell me, pretty maiden, what these very simple girlies do.
Kind sir, their manners are perfection and the opposite of mine. Come walk with me and then you can see what a most particular girl should be.
I'll walk with you and talk with you, but a most particular girl won't do.
Won't do,
Won't do.
won't do,
Won't do. We'd like to have sweet Sue.
If I loved you, would you tell me what I ought to do to keep you all mine alone, to always be true to me? If I loved you, would it be a silly thing to do? For I must love someone really, and it might as well be you.
So the music of Will Osborne and the band there on an American Decca. I wonder who the female vocalist was there. Lynn Davis is her name. Okay, Tell Me Pretty Maiden was the name of the track. I'm vk3sl. We're testing here on 160 and on UHF and also streaming online. I've got 2 streaming services up now. So we've made a few adjustments. In fact, we've got a new switcher which arrived in the mail today. That's a development. I forgot to mention that. So we have, theoretically, better internet. It only took a couple of days and it's here. So all set up, ready, working, seems to be working quite well. I didn't read every page of the 303-page manual, but I did have a look and I was able to make the right choices, I think, I hope. Done speed tests on all the computers here and everything is around about 150 megabits per minute, which is, I suppose, per second, which I think is more or less within ballpark. What would we expect? So anyhow, there's maybe a few seasonal adjustments on the fly, but it does seem to be working quite well. So why did I say that? Oh, yes, that's right. Well, we're set up and we've got 2 systems now. We've got the old streaming service back in check again. I've done all my port forwarding and sorting, and that is now working again. So if you look up my call sign on a blogspot page, I think it's vk3sl.blogspot.com, not at, and you'll find there's a link to this mission page, and that should work. It hasn't been going for months. So we've got that one, and we've got the YouTube stream, which is my call sign as a dedicated YouTube channel as well. So there we have it. Online spaces. So in my hand, I have a 10-inch LP from the 50s. It's David Rose and his orchestra. It says here, David Rose is an artist of many talents, a prolific and successful composer arrangement. He is leader of his own orchestra as well as a famous radio and recording celebrity. Born in London in 1910, he travelled to the United States with his parents at the age of 4. He commenced his musical career by studying the piano at the Chicago College of Music and later completed a 4-year engagement with the famed NBC Orchestra. His work compares most favourably with that of Morton Gould, Andre Kostelanetz, Mellicrino and other conductors of the same class. Although best known in musical circles for his arranging, David Rose, it could safely be said, achieved worldwide fame for such compositions as Holiday for Strings, One Love and Dance of the Spanish Onion. Wow. Now much in demand for film work, David Rose has written many scores for the MGM Film Organisation. He is considered one of the biggest names in the world of music and is regarded as one of its busiest and most successful musicians. So yeah, David Rose and his orchestra. So we'll feature this now and we'll hear some light music to wind up the program, and we look forward to your company later on. We'll be back later at 11:30 tonight. Don't know for how long, but we'll be back for a bit. I'm vk3sl. You've been listening to Test Missions on 160 UHF and online. The music of David Rose. Listening to the music of David Rose and his orchestra, Light Classics. And we'll flip the disc. I'm going to give the Starters a clean. That record is not tracking terribly well. Probably needs a good clean. David Rose and his orchestra. And we'll hear side B. It's a festival re-release from a US master. We'll just give this a clean. And the record clean as well, and then we can proceed. Side 2, David Rose, and I'm vk3sl, testing on 160 UHF and online. sensational light music. The music of David Rose and his orchestra of a Festival LP, recorded in the 1950s. I'm vk3sl. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to your company later on tonight.